What's up, everybody? It's Dark Knight 316. This is the Roundtable Podcast. I'm with our very favorite guest, Robert Wheeler Gaming. All right, and so what'd you bring us to drink today?
You know, actually, I have this one called, it's Bang Any Means Orange.
Any means necessary?
Any means
like
orange.
That?
Yeah, any means possible from the rappers.
And I got the Rail Punch from Monster that you brought me. And of course, like always, they're not sponsored by us. But if they want us to be sponsored by them, they can give me a call. And I'll
drop it in the comments.
Yep. I'll be able to, hook them up and give them all the sponsor stuff that they need. Get all their affiliates. Oh, mine's the Real Punch.
It's actually orange, huh?
It's actually like a little red.
Which is funny because if you look at mine's Any Means Orange. It's not even orange.
All right, so first topic we're going to talk about. Do you remember when Final Fantasy was turn-based?
I think so. Yeah. It's been what?
Do you remember when
years?
It was popular being known as turn-based?
I assumed it was still pretty popular, wasn't it?
Because they're thinking about returning to turn-based now because 16, 14, and all those have went away from actual traditional turn-based. But because of this, I don't know, popular game that came out recently.
What game was that? It's slipping my mind.
Clair Expedition 33.
Gotcha. Okay.
That sold so much and was super popular. Everybody recommended it and said that this is how Square Enix should make the next Final Fantasy. Doing, turn-based back again and doing it like Expedition 33.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your thoughts about that? Do you think Square Enix should return to turn-based?
Now, I've been talking about this for a while because I believe 17 is my two things. Is one, I think it should go to 4 characters you should be able to play with. And 2, it should be the crystals, but it should also go back to, I think it needs to go back to like a more hybrid, like Expedition 33, where it's turn-based plus it is, where you're
like action-oriented.
Action, because you think like right now I'm playing a Udian Chronicles, and I'm having the most fun playing it right now because...
And that's a
turn-based,
right? Yeah.
And all the recently I did a top 5 video, but like 3 of the games that I did that are on the PlayStation Plus right now are turn-based. Mm-hmm. So having turn-based games, I think they're still fun, but like I argued back in the day, you got to think of the Square trying to get new fans into playing. They're trying to capture what's popular. So
yeah. But I think that they should just stick to what they're good at. Don't try to go with the trends because look at what they did when they try to do it with Tomb Raider. They try to go into a different direction than what Tomb Raider was all about. If they would have stuck with more of the Indiana Jones type style of on and not the more like mystic style of magic and stuff like that, it would have been popular. Because the Tomb Raider on the PlayStation was all about raiding the tombs and getting the treasures. Mm-hmm. Stick with that. Really good.
Yeah, but so looking at the games, right? I don't know if it's necessarily... This is what I was kind of thinking about. Is it necessarily the fact that they're no longer turn-based? Or is it necessarily the fact that they've changed their battle system every single game? That's what I was trying to think about. Is it because if Square Enix would have done something like Expedition 33 did, then we wouldn't be having the same conversation?
No.
But you got to think like 11 MMO. So they went and changed their battle system there. 12. They tried to do more of a single player MMO.
Yep.
Change their battle system there. And I can't remember in 12 you can't play as the other. You can control their actions, each character's action, and switch to each of those characters.
You can, but it also does auto battle where they just automatically.
So then 13 you only play with the one character.
With the one.
And then everybody else is auto battle.
Uh-huh.
So you think they started pushing this whole one character thing then around 13, but 13 battle system changed.
Yeah, when it started getting to 13.2, it started to be where it was more almost turn-based.
Then not even that it was even, you think the they're what they call it, like active time battles, basically what they've always pushed, but it hasn't been. It's been changed. 14 still MMO. 15 was you only played as the one
character,
Noctis, and only could have you couldn't play with anybody else, and everybody was auto battle. So you think 16 is the same way. So they've been pushing it for at least 20 years.
Well, if you look at the other games that they had, that pretty much used the same mechanics. I mean, if you look at Valkyrie Profile, you only had the one character, and then you push the different buttons to use the other characters. So it's just pretty much the.
So they've been pushing action for as long as I can remember after 10, because 10 had you could play as everybody.
Yeah,
you
could switch them out.
But they've changed their battle systems, and that's where I'm wondering.
Well, I mean, it was still turn based, but it was
But has their battle system is what every game they created, they changed their battle system. So it's like you think, like I was trying to think of, okay, well, you think of the first 6 games, their battle systems are relatively the same.
Yeah.
7, 8, and 9, you think their battle pretty much the same. They altered it, maybe like how you use the summons, how you use your magic, your limit breaks, like things like that. They altered things slightly, still having an active time battle. 10, same thing. But after 10, you started seeing that a new iteration of the battle of their active time battles change. So that's where I think
because around that time, PC was starting to kick off, and like the World of Warcrafts and all those ones,
and they're trying to
start to be popular. So they were trying to make it more of their MMO. They had this success with 11, but 11 was PC and Xbox, so not a lot of people played it when it came to the PS2
and PS2.
Yeah, and then so when they made 12, they're like, oh, well, we'll do that same success we had. We'll just do it offline, which was still popular about it, but people still liked the whole turn base of everything like that. And then when they went to 13, it was still turn based with active time battle, but you only controlled the one person. You only gave the commands to the one person, and then you switched off the different things. And then when it came to 14 was their strict MMO, like it was always. And 15 was when the battles completely changed because it was only the one player concept, and then you just sit out your other players up on there. And then that's the same as 16.
That's what I'm saying. So you haven't really. So I remember when Star Ocean 5 came out, and then people were complaining about that game, like, oh, I can't run around the character.
You only play.
I can't run around as others. You can only play as the hero. Like, you can only control this one. And then you look at like Final Fantasy, and nobody's complaining about Final Fantasy that I'm only playing as Noctis. Like, how come I can't play as I can't think of that other guy's name, Pronto or whatever his name is on 15. Anywho, I can't think of his name, but like nobody's complaining about that. But then you also you look at like going for Star Ocean, for instance. Star Ocean Second Story, when they remastered that was turn based. No, not really a turn based.
That was action. Yeah. It was never turn based.
And that ended up doing super good. So do you think then they could do something like a because like Tales, for instance, Tales isn't a turn based like that. So do you think that they could do something similar to what Tales does and make it popular? Or do you think
I think that
Square has just such high standard on them because they create Final Fantasy?
I think that they just need a copy Clair Expedition, copy and paste, do exactly the same thing like that, where they could have it. Because if you kind of like imagine if they had Cloud with the Buster Sword, and then you could go and be like Verso, and you could do all your little attacks like that, and then you could bust it in where you could do a limit break, and then you do all the massive damage like that.
Yeah,
like that would be pretty awesome. Having it like Final Fantasy like that, you could build up your limit breaks by doing all the moves and stuff like that. They could have the gauges up all the same like that. The reason I bring this up for the turn base is because our next story shows that Final Fantasy XVI is the worst selling Final Fantasy game, even though it was released on PC and Xbox. It's the lowest selling Final Fantasy game of all time.
No, we're saying all time, or we're saying of just like this era? Because I don't think it's the worst of all time.
Well, according to the selling up on it, because they made, I think it was like 500,000 or something like that copies on the PlayStation, and then they were expecting to
See if I can find it.
make at least like 200,000 on the Xbox One, and didn't even make that much.
Well, because they had because you got to think like what they saw on Xbox was like 20 something thousand.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and it was said it was really worse.
So you got to think like okay, so approximately worldwide as of March 2025, they sold 3.25 million, but struggled with sales on PC, reaching about 289,000.
So they sold more on the
They got
PlayStation.
3.5 million, which I mean, it's taken them over 2 years to do, but overall, no, I think.
But that's their lowest selling because Square Enix has a super expectation. Like they wanted to make, I think it was like 10 million, and they only made 3.5.
Yeah, no, I think
So-
I don't think this is the worst selling. I think what it is, it's like fatigue on this game, because you got to think this game came out and it did well, but then after that, bringing it to the Xbox, I think has its pros and cons. I think it's good. It came out with multi-platform, but I think the bad thing is it's like 2 years old. So I'm curious to know if the exact same thing's going to happen when they release the remake on
Xbox and Switch.
Nintendo Switch, when they bring that, because 7's real popular. Is it going to be the exact same thing? Because you got to think like, was it just a lot of people were just fans like, oh, I'll play it on Xbox, I'll get it there, or was it because they went and charged like $60 for all the DLCs?
Well, I think it
and
was,
everything?
but I think it was. They didn't have a complete version, so I don't think that they had it with the DLCs.
On
But plus-
Xbox?
But
No,
plus
they
with
did.
the
They did.
the PC and the Xbox ones are pretty much the same. So would you buy it on either one and really wouldn't
So you
matter.
had a 2-year-old game
But-
that basically a lot of people have already played, but
But
there's no reason to come back
and
to
then
it.
people also played similar ones because it's basically like a Elden Ring or a Demon Souls game like that.
Yeah.
So people on Xbox have already been playing like Elden Ring and stuff like that. So when they play the Final Fantasy, they're just like, I'll just go play Elden Ring because like this is like we've already seen this before. Like it's nothing.
But that's what I'm curious to know. Is that
Yeah.
22,000 that they did, is that native just to Xbox? Or was
It's
that...
supposed to be Xbox and PC.
Because if they did the 289 on the PC, then I'm thinking that 22 is just native to Xbox, which means that probably a lot of people who already played it from 2 years ago, like if they really wanted to play that game, they would have figured out a way to already play it. So I think that they would have, I think it would have just been them. I don't think it's like, 16 was in my opinion, 16 is the top 5 Final Fantasy of all time. But I think it's more of just a fatigue because it's been 2 years. I mean,
Yeah, and I also gotta think that like Square Enix needs to lower their expectations on what they're expecting to sell up on, because like you gotta also think like, okay, so if I'm gonna release it on everything, Xbox and PC pretty much cancel each other out because
Yep.
you can play Xbox games on your PC and you get the better version on your PC than you would on the Xbox. So those pretty much cancel out. But if you're expecting it to make like $5 billion and it only makes 300,000, and like it's a good game, like everybody says it's really good, but because it didn't make your expectation, you're like, oh, it's a failure. Oh, we're never making any Final Fantasy again because it was such a failure. Like, no, it's you gotta listen to your audience and listen to your fans. Like they liked the game, they bought the game, it showed that it sold the games, but just not your expectations.
yeah, because and the reason why like I push this game as a top 5 is Clive was a really
He was written really
written
well,
character,
yes.
I think, and I think that is really hard in RPGs, is to have a character who's really well written, because you got to think the way that. Like, when I first played this game, I'm like, dude, Clive, come on. Like, be a man. Why are you whining?
Yeah.
But you saw the reason why he started to be, like, all weak and he's whining. And then as he progressed through the story, you saw it was like he took control. It was like, Jill, you stay back. Joshua, you do this. Like, I'm going after Ultima. I'm taking Ultima out myself. It was like you saw the story of him actually, instead of being disowned by his family, of him actually being like, I'm taking the reins. He's a really well written
Yeah,
character.
because he was weak at the beginning because
But that's how they wrote him though.
yeah,
So
he whined because his brother died.
Yeah, you
But
saw,
then-
he was like so weak.
So he was weak there, so Ifrit never really grew on him to make him strong. And then you saw that later on, more stuff started like happening in his life. He's getting more pissed off. Then Ifrit comes out of him, and then he finds out, you know, what Ifrit was all about.
Yep.
And then that started growing on him and started making him
That's
stronger.
where I think he was well written, because like I think of like 15, for instance. Noctis was more like a hey buddy type of guy.
It was a bromance, yeah.
Until-
I like that game.
Until what's her name, Una Freya ended up dying. Then his character got really good when he like started turning
Yeah, when it was like
bad.
What was it, like 10 years later?
He started
or
going
whatever
to his
that?
like emo version, and then he's bad, and then he's fighting Ifrit and things like that. Like that's where his character started to take that turning point. But 15 had the whole bromance, and so I don't think his character was well written, because I thought it was more harder for them to say play as Noctis, but still invest your time into the rest of these guys.
Well, because since it was a bromance, it was like
But you never got to play as the other
no,
bros.
but it was your bond of your friendship, and each of those ones that, you know, had a role that they knew that they had a role to protect this king up on there. And so, you know, you had Gladios, which was your shield. He was your protector, so he's going to take
He was
all
Joshua,
your damage.
my
Basically,
shield.
he's going to take all your damage up on it. You had
That's what I'm saying.
I'm trying to think of that other
I
one.
can't think of the other guys' names, but they're all DLCs you can play as.
Yeah.
But, I mean, looking at that, though, like, I think 15... Now, I don't think 15 is the worst in the series, but I don't think it was as well written as 16. I think 16, they did a phenomenal job on it. So, I don't see Square Enix as, like, they're going to go bankrupt if 17 failed. But I can see that they need to figure out, like, where their position is right now. Are they going to chase the new trends of what's popular, like the Souls games? Or are they just gonna set the standard on what the future of RPG should be? So,
Well, I think the future of RPG should be Clair Expedition 33, which they can't really have another one unless they have a prequel.
that's what I'm saying. Expedition 33 is in a tough position because of the success of this game. It's going to be hard to, like, you can't take the Expedition 33 name and expand that.
No, you'd have to
It's going to be tough.
make a completely new
Has to be a
game.
whole new game. If you wanted Expedition, you could do Expedition 32 or something to keep it like in the realm of, or even keep it in the realm of Clair Obscur, and
Or they
keep
could
that
be
in the realm.
Clair Expedition 1.
But something like that, Expedition 33 will have a hard time on their next game that they release because of the expectations are so high. And then plus, how do you, if you want to keep the branding going, how do you keep the branding going? So I think that's where it's like Final Fantasy has established themselves. They've taken a couple of hits the last decade or so, but I think they come out in a. I'm curious to know if the 9 remake, if it does come out like early next year, do they keep the elements of it? How is it written? Is it going to be like? I'm curious to know about that one.
Well, rumors are that it's supposed to show something on July 7th.
Which is Monday.
Next week, yes.
Yeah,
Because they said that that's the anniversary of when it debuted in Japan. And they've been dropping artwork of Final Fantasy IX in the past 2 days. So people are hoping that that's what it does, but we don't know. But speaking of people having to, know what they're doing and stuff, is Xbox plans to lay off 1,900 jobs across their gaming division, which I pretty much saw this coming, because once they stopped being a console developer and they bought like all these devs, and then like nothing was coming out when PlayStation was bringing out like games after games after games, and there was nothing from first party for Xbox, then I knew that once their games came out, it was going to be like real hard for them to sustain it. So they had to do where they're going to be basically on everything. And that's their one downfall is now that they're going to be putting the games on PlayStation, then what's the purpose of buying an Xbox?
Yeah, but this is Xbox fault, I think,
Yeah, it
over
is their fault.
at least the last this console, so we could say at least 10 years. I feel bad for the people because I feel like as a business, like you're positioning to be successful, and the decisions you made, whoever is in control, made those decisions, and then because you financially didn't make the correct decisions, you should lay off employees. I think that's Xbox box fault. I think CEO of Xbox should just say, hey, we keep those guys, I take a pay cut, because he's the one ultimately making these decisions. So I think I feel bad for these guys. I hope that they can find a place that they're going to be successful in, maybe Nintendo or Sony, or even find something a studio that's going to be successful. But I think Xbox needs. I think this is the problem with gaming right now, because even Sony, I can see Sony doing something like that, because there's no games. There's no really any reason for you right now to even buy any consoles to say like there's this game out there that all my friends are playing. I need like everybody's playing Call of Duty. Call of Duty is saturated. Madden saturated. Like there's not a game out there where you're like, this first party, I need to go and buy this to play Spider-Man. Spend $80 on Spider-Man to play for 20 hours. Like,
I mean, the one game that I thought was really good that we bought a copy and played with a bunch of people was Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2 is really
that
good.
was really good. That made me like, oh yeah, I want to keep playing it and getting all my builds up and stuff like that.
I thought the problem with that game was like it got me hooked until I got the platinum. After I got the platinum, I stopped playing it. But it's one of those games that like you're constantly like, hey, when you off work, let's go play online. Like it hooked you, and like you wanted to play the aspect of it. But I still don't think that you buy
A PlayStation
Helldivers
for that,
play, because you got to think about the old days of like the PS3 and Xbox 360. I'm buying a PS3 because of the games, and I'm playing with all my buddies. Xbox 360, they had your Halo, your your Gears of War, like things like that. And you can imagine, the Halo's coming to the PS3. Now it's coming to PlayStation, and you're like, yeah, who cares? Well, what's the point? Xbox just become Sega now and stop making consoles.
Well, that's what people are thinking is like Xbox can't really come out with a new system because like they made themselves software now because they put that Xbox Live everywhere
and
now.
everything.
So it's on PC.
The Game Pass,
or the Game Pass, it's on PC. It's on Xbox. You can play it on Windows, and then it's going to be coming to where they're going to start bringing the games to Sony.
It's a bad decision,
and it's going to come to Nintendo.
And this is why, what'd you say, 1,500?
1,900 jobs.
This is why 1,900 jobs are laid off, is because that's a bad decision. For me, somebody who is competitive and things like that, like if I have my business, I'm like, forget you. I'm taking the people from PlayStation to bringing them to Xbox to play my console, to buy my console, my controllers, my games, my accessories. Like, you want to keep them in the ecosystem of Xbox. You don't want to be like, oh, you're on PlayStation, here, you could come play my games and I'll make it free. No, you don't do that. I think it's a poor decision. And what's his name? Phil? I can't. Spencer. I can't think of his name right now, but yeah, he needs to. I think he just needs to step down, and they need new leadership to be able to. Because, call me. I'll run the company.
Because like even with the rumored handheld that's coming out, is not even an Xbox made one. It's a third party one that has Game Pass on it.
See, here's the thing. I think, and this is also to criticize PlayStation as well. Stay out of the handheld market, I think, because Nintendo's taking that handheld market. Because you got to think, when the Wii came out and they did all that Move stuff, everybody Connect failed. The Move failed. So PlayStation, you're gonna see how many people are walking around. You see them with a portable. I think.
Well, they're rumored of their little handhelds going to be like the Vita 2.
I think they need to stay out of that market because Nintendo owns that market. It's gonna be much harder to say we're gonna make this and then like you're gonna have to downgrade your system to make it something similar to the Nintendo.
Yeah, because they were saying that Sony's PlayStation 6 might be like a hybrid, like how Switch 2 is. Yeah, where you could take it on the go. You're not dock it up on.
That system is gonna be like $1,000 if that's the case.
Yep.
Because if they're gonna keep everything that like the PlayStation 5 or even whatever they're upgrading for the 6, and then build it as a handheld, and then you can take it and then pour battery life, things like that. Like you're not gonna, it's not gonna be good. And I think they just need to stay out of that market because Nintendo's owned that market forever now since they've been making Game Boys and things like that. So I just think, I think they need to think of just other ways of, like PSP was popular, but I mean, other than that, they need to, I think they need to separate the brand. Because remember, Nintendo did that as well, where they separated their brand, but they made games, like they made Mario on Game Boy, but they made a whole new Mario game. So if they were to do that, you separate the brand. So maybe you make like a Last of Us on your handheld.
Yeah, and it's exclusive to it, not like, oh, well, you can play this on the Vita and the PS5.
No.
Like, no, just put it on.
And then you got to think too. Then you could sell a whole Super Game Boy and play it on your Super Nintendo, like things like that. Like but yeah, I think you stay out of the handheld market.
Yeah, because the rumored Xbox handheld's gonna. They said the base model, because there's 2 models of it, it's gonna be about $600 to $800.
That's it. I don't know. I'm not that big of an Xbox fan to be willing to drop that much money to play it. So
because that's around the price of a low-level Steam Deck.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if I could spend that money for Xbox, which I don't play as often. So
then,
I don't know.
And then our last story is Sony says that there's no current plans to add first-party games to their PlayStation Plus until, like, they say about six months to a year maybe, because they still want to make money off of people buying it in the retail and stuff like that. So they said that that's worked for them. And whereas Xbox, they put day one on Game Pass and you can buy it in the store, people are not going to buy it in the store. They're just going to buy it on the Game Pass. And so they saw that hurts the sales of the physical games or their digital, games of it. It hurts the sale of that if they give it to you for free because you're paying a subscription up on it. So they said that they'll wait next 6 months to a year and then put it up on their PlayStation Plus up on there. What do you think about that? Do you think that that's a good
I saw
thing
something for this
thing?
article. I do believe it's good for them. I think the sad thing though is it's because it's the way the market is. So fans are willing to pay. You got to think like they're willing to pay $80 to play Spider-Man, God of Wars, things like that. But if there isn't a market for you being able to spend that price, like then they would put it on PlayStation Plus. Like that's the way you got to think of it. Because if people are willing to drop the money, why would they give it to you for free? And I think that's a set as consumers. I think that's where it's like our taste would have to change in order for them to be able to put on PlayStation Plus.
They don't mind putting third-party games day one on there because they're making the money.
You think this God of War game that they're rumored coming out that's like a Metroidvania, like or Castlevania, like all those ones that they're talking about. If they put that on day one, like people are gonna download it, they'll play it, but then they'll make no money off of it. But if they think, it's God of War, I can sell God of War at $60, $70.
They know how to market.
You're gonna buy it.
Yeah, because if you figure, I mean, this is what Xbox has problems with too, is you have it day one on your streaming service. So then somebody plays it, beats the game, that's it. They're not going to come back to it. Whereas if they bought the game, they're going to be like, well, I have this game now. I already beat it. So when's the DLC coming out? Like, I want more in it because I spent $80 for this game. So I want to be able to have
your subscription ones is you basically want to have it where when a new game that you're pushing, like a God of War, after a year or so, if it's no longer selling, then you push it on your subscription model to get more players to go and play your game.
Or you put it on sale digitally first and then see how that is.
Like you do all those things and then eventually you're like, well, we're no longer getting players buying our stuff. We're going to put it for free. So as you're paying your subscription model,
and then more people will
look
at your stuff because they're like, oh, it's free. I'll get to it.
Like you think with like I think it's not first party, but like Diablo, for instance. Diablo's been out like a year or two, It's out now to download, but how many people like myself, after I platinumed it, I said, hey, I'm tired of this game. I'm not going to play it again. But now they give it to me for free, and I'm kind of like, maybe I'll just play it for fun, create a new character or whatever. So,
or like now you may spend the $30 and do that expansion.
Do the expansion pack.
You got the game for free now.
Even though like I've had the game for how long now, but now I'm like, oh, you know what? I got it digitally. I can go and play it. Maybe I'll spend the money and do stuff like that. So it could kind of get you to get perks to be able to do get other things. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think Sony as long as we're willing to spend the $80 or whatever you're gonna pay for the price, I see no wrong as a business to say I'm gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna keep doing it because you guys continue buying
Nintendo doesn't put any of their games on there for free for their subscription.
Look how they don't even discount a lot of their games.
Nope.
And like, when was the last time we saw a Switch game for like $20? That was a Mario. Lowest you see is like 40, 45, and people constantly buy it at full price. So if people are willing to buy it at full price and you can make the sales, I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So yep, that's all the news that we had for this week in gaming history. So like to thank everybody who, will take a look at this video. I want to just subscribe to my channel, The Round Table, Dark Knight 360 and The Round Table. I have other channels too that you can subscribe to. You just find it all in the same Round Table page up on it. We have Robert Wheeler's Gaming. He does his weekly roundup of gaming news and everything else. What other ones that you have out?
So right now I have a top 5 video I released on Tuesday about the top 5 JRPG games on the PS Plus, and I ranked them of what you should be playing. So check that one out. Definitely, it's a fun video. First video I made of like a top 5, so I'm curious to know on that. I have collection videos, also my journey through platinum retirement. So we got a lot of things in store, but it's just gonna be great. We're gonna keep cranking out videos this week, so
we're gonna try as much as we can. So with all that, have a great day.
Thank you guys so much. God bless you, and remember,
never
keep
stop gaming. All right,
thanks guys.